and welcome back to the channel. Bob here. So the other day I ended up making a deal for a watch that I really never intended on picking up until it became available from a local collector here that I've known for some time now. You'll know from the title that the watch we're looking at today is the new version of the Oris Aquis Date released last year in 2017. I've been an owner of the original Oris Aquis Date for a few years now. This was actually the first watch that I ever reviewed on the channel. I just thought when it became available it'd be fun to do a kind of a side-by-side comparison of the two watches. Some of the differences are quite subtle with them, some of them not so subtle, but let's spin the camera around, we'll take a closer look at the watches. Alright, so first up here, as we go through the two watches, the older version back here gets a lot of wrist time. Again, I've had it for a few years now, and it's picked up a few nicks and scratches. Tried to clean it up the best I can for today's video, but hey, I kind of like the battle wounds. As far as the new Aquis goes, they've gone for a more refined look and feel over the original. I'll walk you through what I mean here. So first of all, probably one of the biggest, most obvious differences is the bracelet. The bracelet on the new is much more slender versus the burlier bracelet of this one. Both, if we take a look at the links here, have polished outer links as well as the brushed center links. On the older version, there's a really pronounced ridge on the inner and outer links. I really like how they catch the light, and I think they just look great. The newer version has the same ridge on the center link, a lot less pronounced, but still has that Oris look, with the outer links being smooth with no ridge at all. The lug opening here, if we just take a look, is the same for both of these watches. The one difference being the bracelet measurement. If you measure from the width where the bracelet meets the lug, the newer version is about 1.5 millimeters smaller at 24 millimeters. So if we look at the side profile of these watches, the new version, by the way, is on the left, the old on the right. You'll see here that the lugs are a little bit thinner as well as shorter on the new versus the old. The lug to lug on the new 2017 model comes in at 49.5 millimeters versus the lug to lug of the original being just about 50.5 millimeters. Might make this a little more wearable if you have smaller wrist, the new one that is. That being said though, the new version is slightly bigger with a 43.5 millimeter case width over the 43 millimeter case width of the older one. A very small difference, but while we're looking at the lugs too, I should point out the screws for the bracelet. The new version has almost these Mercedes logo style screws matching the crown guard screws here. I like the look, but the regular flathead is a little more practical for strap changes to me. One other difference, if we go back to the bracelet here for a minute, is the clasp. We have on the newer version a nice taper down to 18 millimeters versus the old one tapers to 20 millimeters at the clasp. That really adds to the refined look and feel on wrist to me. They've also added some detail on the newer version with some beveling all the way around the edge of the clasp. Both are signed Oris and to me are pretty well equal in quality. Both have the same dive extension as well, other than the difference in width, and I'll just open it up here. Made from nice machined stainless steel. And overall, I'd have to say the bracelet and clasp quality is just great with both. I do have to say, if you're not a bracelet guy, the rubber strap that they offer as an alternative is really good. I haven't picked one up yet, but I've tried them on. They're about as good as it gets for a rubber strap. As far as the dial goes, there's three changes that really stand out to me, and that starts with the print work. At 12 on the new version, Oris stands alone, where the original has Oris underlined with automatic. At 6, they've also added Aquis to the new version. Either option looks good to me, but one change I wasn't as big of a fan of is the new handset. Not sure why, but the hour hand looks a little off to me for some reason. It's not bad, I just prefer the older. The last notable change is the hour markers. I really like how the new hour markers have the bevel at their tip. They look great when they catch the light. And guys, if the camera isn't picking up some of these details, I'll end the video with some close-ups for you guys. So when I was doing research for this video, I saw a couple of people in the forums asking if there was a difference in the bezel action. If there is, it's very slight. We'll start off by just giving this one a turn. the new model. And back to 12. Then the older model. Now, I'm not sure if the mic picked that up or not, but the 2017 model has a bit of a higher pitch click. I think my older one turns a little easier, but that's just probably from use. The new one protrudes out here from the case. If you look at the side here, you'll see it sticks out from the case a little bit further than the older one. Makes it just a little bit easier to grip, but overall they're pretty similar, very satisfying to turn, and both of great quality. No alignment issues and very little play. So one other difference I'd like to point out is the crown and the crown guards. You'll notice on the newer version, the etching or engraving on the crown is a little nicer than the old one. The older one is just polished here. The other difference is the crown guards. You'll see on the newer version, the lines are much sharper, where this one is a little bit more rounded. I'd say that's an improvement over the older version. So let's take a look at these guys on wrist. Alright, so I'm going to start out here with the 2017 model, and to me the biggest difference between these two watches is just how they feel on wrist. This version's quite a bit lighter with that slimmer bracelet, wears really nice. Again with the shorter lugs, even though the case is slightly larger, it feels like a smaller watch to me. I wouldn't go so far as to say it's delicate or anything, but it doesn't feel quite as rugged on wrist as the older version. So let's take a quick look at the older one here for a second. Now, this watch has been with me through a lot, so I kind of connect with the older version a little bit more. When I think of Aquis, I think of an ultra tooly dive watch. The new one still has that tooly feel, just not so much as this one. For anyone considering either, I think it's just what you like. They're both 300-meter divers with the same Sellita movement, so it's really personal preference, although I think the new version is probably the better pick for someone with smaller wrists. No matter which one you opt for, both of these are fantastic watches. I'd be happy with either of them. So that's it, guys. Let's take this back to the desk and wrap this one up. Alright guys, I hope that helps for anybody trying to decide between the two versions of the Aquis. If there's anything I didn't cover, feel free to ask any questions in the comment section below. One thing that I didn't cover that I meant to was the lume. The newer version seems to have brighter lume than the older one. I'm not sure if maybe the lume is faded on my older one or if it's just applied a little better on the newer one, but I will leave some shots of that at the end of the video as well. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.